Big week in Europe this week. Let's find out what's on tap for next week. To do that, we join Antonia Oprita, Real Money's senior editor and columnist, who joins us from London. Antonia, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Rhonda. And next week is going to be quite a big week for Europe, but not as big as this one. We have on Monday, we have Eurozone industrial production figures for January coming out. It's important because we are going to need to see whether the ECB's previous easing measures are working. The Eurozone production figures for December were pretty bad. Industrial production fell by 1% then. But there are encouraging signs for January because Germany just reported a couple of days ago, and their industrial production was up 3.3% in January. That was the highest jump in 6 years.
So, Antonia, that's really not going to tell us about the current ECB actions, of course, though. So that's something we'll still have to look at a couple months in advance. But I do know, beyond some of that economic news that everyone is following closely, yourself included, there's also budget news in the UK and a very important referendum.
Yeah, it is. We are going to have the budget revealed on Wednesday by the UK Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne. And that's important because it's coming 3 months before the referendum on whether the UK will leave the European Union or stay in. And now the budget will be closely watched by the market because the UK already has quite a high budget deficit. It's around 5% of GDP, which is higher than many countries in the European Union, believe it or not, even though the UK is doing pretty well. And also on Wednesday, we're going to hear the unemployment rate for Britain. Important again, although it's pretty low at 5%. People are going to look at the wages to see if they're increasing, because that would be a sign that the economy is still ticking along quite nicely, despite the fears caused by the referendum.
And Antonia, we should also touch on this meeting with EU leaders because refugee issues will be discussed. There is, of course, not just a human implication there is an economic one.
Yes, there is. We are going to have on Thursday a meeting a summit by EU leaders to discuss the issue of the refugees. During the week, there will be various meetings between various EU policymakers to try and find a solution to the problem. They will try to talk to Turkish officials to see whether they can come to an agreement on this issue. It is quite a fluid situation, and also there are some comments that actually, if the European Union plays this well, there could be advantages from receiving these refugees. I don't know if you heard that Mario Draghi yesterday was saying that the investments that are needed to integrate these refugees are going to be positive for the economy because it means more fiscal spending, which is something that the European Union needs.
A lot going on next week. Antonia Oprita, thanks for keeping us up to date on what to watch.
Thank you.
I'm Rhonda Schaffler for TheStreet.